Trying to get 360 waves for the first time, this video is going to answer every single one of your questions.
Durags, wave cream, brushes. Get the best products for your 360 waves at wavymerch.com.
Most beginners mess up because they don't know what brush to use, they don't know what haircut to get, they don't know what products to use, and they're just completely lost. So in this video, I'm gonna break down exactly what you need to do to get 360 waves. And if you're starting your journey from scratch, I put together the beginner wave kit, which has everything you need. We got 2 brushes, 2 durags, and a wave oil. But we'll break that down in the future clips. So first, let's talk about what are 360 waves. So you see these cool lines in my head right now? Those are called 360 waves. Now 360 waves are just curly hair that has been brushed to lay down. So think about your curly hair for a second. If you pull out one strand, it's gonna look like a squiggly worm, and it usually stands up. To get 360 waves, you have to get a brush and brush the curl down. So you need to remember, 360 waves are just laid down curls. If you don't have curly hair, you cannot get 360 waves. Sometimes your hair will curl at a later length the longer it gets. So you need to grow your hair a little bit longer until it starts to curl. Then as it starts to curl, you brush it back down, and now you have 360 waves. A lot of beginners think products give you 360 waves, but that's not the case. All you need is some quality brushes, a quality durag, a hair oil, and patience. Once you have those things, I promise you'll get 360 waves. Now the best haircut to get when you start your wave journey is something that's close to your curl length, but short enough to the point where you can start to train your hair as it grows in. When I first started my wave journey 20 years ago, I was getting my hair cut way too low and I wasn't able to get 360 waves because I didn't have curls at that short length. As I got more experience in waving, I realized that I can't cut my hair too low. I have to go maybe a 2 with the grain, and that will give me a good starting point to where I'm still somewhat curly, but short enough to where I can start to train and build my pattern. But the main thing is you cannot cut your hair too low. You need to figure out what length works best for you through trial and error. I would say start with a 2 with the grain. A with the grain is when you cut your waves with your pattern, and against the grain is when you cut backwards. When you're starting out, you want to go with the grain. And don't get discouraged if you don't have waves after the first cut. It takes time. Just trust the process. You'll get there. If I could go back in time, the first step that I would do when establishing my wave pattern is finding my crown. Now the crown is that little bald spot that's on the top of your head, and that's where your hair starts to spread out. I would find my crown, that little bald spot, and I would brush my hair following that crown. So I would start from the top and start from the crown, and I brush all the way down. And then on my side, I would start from the crown and brush my side all the way down. And that's gonna save you a lot of time, because as your wave progress starts to build, you're gonna notice that the hair and the waves in your crown area are non-existent. So you have waves everywhere else, but there's a big area in your head that doesn't have waves. You wanna brush that down. Let me get that brush. Now let's break down the beginner brushing routine. You don't need to brush for 3 hours a day. What you want to do when you start your journey is you just want to brush your hair so you can train yourself and your hair to brush a certain type of wave. The reason why this is important, because waves are pretty much just a consistent effort. If you brush your top straight down every session, but then the next day you're brushing it on the side, your hair is going to be confused and it won't know which way to lay down. You want to learn your brush angles from starting from your crown and just train yourself to brush consistently all around your head. Probably brush for like 10-20 minutes a day. It doesn't even have to be that much, but as long as you're training your hair, you're learning your brush pattern, and your hair is also learning which way it's supposed to lay. Usually what I would do in the morning is I would take off my durag, I would look in the mirror, and I'll say, okay, I need to brush my hair. I'll brush my hair following my pattern. If my hair is dry, I might put some oil in my hair, rub it through my hands, put it through my hair, and then I'll brush for maybe about 10 minutes. After that, I could put my durag on, or I can just keep brushing all day. That's if you want to take your waves to that next level, but it doesn't have to be complicated. And then at night, what I would do is pretty much the same thing. I would look in the mirror, I would see how my progress has been throughout the day. Is my hair messy? Why is it messy? Was I not wearing a durag? Was I being active? Regardless of the answer, we have to brush it back down before we put our durag on and go to sleep. And it's important that you wear your durag before you go to sleep. Honestly, this is exactly why I made the beginner wave kit. We have 2 brushes, a medium and a soft, and we have 2 durags, and we also have wave oil. So that's pretty much everything you need to start your journey. When I started my wave journey, I didn't know what to buy. I was just testing a lot of products, but I made this kit nice and simple for you. It has everything you need. The link will be in the description, wavymerch.com. Now let's talk about how to actually brush your 360 waves. After you find your crown and you have an idea of where you want your wave pattern to go, what I do is I get my brush and I brush my hair all the way down from the crown right down to my hairline. You just stay consistent with that. It's not complicated. There's not too much you need to do. You just have to be consistent, make sure your hair is long enough, and make sure you're using a brush that's able to get down to your scalp. Same thing with the sides. You want to figure out where your crown is, start from that top of the crown and brush all the way down. What I do is I like to brush down to my face. So I separate my sides on 2 angles. There's this side on the front of my face, and then there's the side that goes behind my ear. So I'll usually separate it. I'll brush my side all the way down to my face. I'll do that about 20 times. And then behind my ear, I'll do that about 20 times as well. So now we're getting the full 360. When we brush our back, we want to start in the middle, start where our crown is, and then brush all the way down. It's important that you brush all the way down to your neck area because you want waves going all the way down. Full strokes, and that's how you get a full 360 wave pattern. And you need to remember, the first day of brushing, you might not get waves, but as you consistently brush, as your hair consistently starts to grow and it gets curlier, and you're training it to lay down, that's when you'll start to see progress. Now let's talk about wave products. You're probably wondering, what product can I use that can help me get 360 wave? And that's the perfect question to ask. Products help you get 360 waves. They don't get you 360 waves. All a cream, moisturizer, or oil will do is nourish your hair, and it makes it easier for your hair to train and lay down, because if you're consistently brushing, there's a lot going on with your head. If your hair is super dry, it's harder for the brush to move your hair, but that's why you want to add an oil. I prefer using natural oils. I have the Wavy Merch Wave Growth Hair Oil, which is in the beginner kit. I put that in my hands, I rub it through my hair, and now my hair is moisturized. So when I brush, it's so much easier to brush my hair. My hair is moisturized, it's not dry, it has shine, and that's how you promote a healthy 360 wave pattern. Just remember, products don't give you 360 waves. They just help you in the process of achieving your 360 wave. Now let's talk about durags. Now I think wearing your durag is almost as important as brushing, because as you brush your hair and you're training it to lay down, the durag is what's gonna compress everything and lay it down. So it basically saves your progress. There was an article that I read 20 years ago when I was starting to research my wave journey, and it said a durag is like a memory card for your video game. So you're playing the video game, you're making progress, but imagine you don't wear the durag, you don't save your game. You have to start over the next day. Brushing your waves is like playing the video game, and wearing your durag is making sure the video game saves. So when you start brushing the next day, you still have the same progress that you made the day before. So whenever you're not brushing, wear your durag. Whenever you go to sleep, wear your durag. It's very important that you do so. When you tie your durag, you don't want to make it too tight. You don't want to cut off circulation to your head. And I used to do that. That's why I have so much wrinkles on my forehead. I didn't know these things back in the day, but I'm gonna help you now. The Wavy Merch durags have super wide flaps, so it's easy for you to open up the flap across your forehead instead of having it as a tight string that's just putting pressure on your forehead. It creates headaches, it creates lines on your forehead like I have, and you don't have to do that anymore. I made it easy for you. And you're probably wondering now, how long does it take to get 360 waves? And my theory is you can get 360 waves in one day. It really depends on where you're starting your journey. So you have to remember, 360 waves are just laid down curls. If your hair is not at curl length, you cannot get 360 waves. If your hair is at curl length where you have curls, all you have to do is brush it down, wear your durag, which will compress your waves and lay down. Take off your durag and you'll have waves. They may not be perfectly connected because you just started your routine and your hair is not trained yet to be in full 360, but guaranteed you can get 360 waves. That's why I say cutting your hair is super important, and you don't want to go too low. Once you figure out what length is good for you, you can get waves today. You can get waves right now if you wanted. What I used to do when I started my journey is I would take pictures every day. I would look in the mirror every day. I would say, when is this gonna happen? But It was never gonna happen because I was cutting my hair too short. So what you wanna do, get the proper haircut, take pictures maybe once a week, always brush in the mirror so you can see what's going on with your waves, and in due time, you'll start to see progress. I'm gonna help you create a routine in 30 days that will help you get your 360 waves. For the first week, you just wanna train yourself on how to set up your pattern. Notice where your crown is, start brushing from your crown, and start to memorize how you want to brush your angles. And that's super important because waves are just about consistency. And that's week number 2. Focus on the consistency now. In that second week, you want to brush the same amount every day, if not more. When you're not brushing, you want to consistently wear your durag. If your hair is dry, you want to consistently add products. Stay consistent with your routine, and in that second week, you'll start to see development. Now, week 3, you should start to see your wave pattern develop, and as it's developing, you're gonna start to see errors. And what I mean by error is an area where you might not have any waves. You might have forks that are creating where a fork is where your waves are not connecting. So one wave might be going this way, but another wave here might be going this way. So that's how you create a fork. And you'll notice these mistakes. What you want to do in that third week is analyze your brush strokes, figure out what you're doing incorrectly, and then fix that. Start brushing correctly, and you'll start to see your fork straighten out. Now, week 4 is you give yourself a haircut. Your hair might be a little bit longer now. Your pattern might be a little bit established. Now is the perfect time to give yourself the cut. Now, when you give yourself the cut, don't go too low. If you started your wave journey at a 2 and you didn't get waves right away, or you didn't see any type of ripple, that means a 2 might be a little too short. So your next haircut, maybe go with 2.5, maybe go with 3, and your hair may still be at that curl length. And then once you give yourself that cut, you still have your 360 waves, and now all your progress has been certified. And now you have 360 waves, which is exactly what we're here for. Let's break down some of the mistakes that you'll make on your wave journey. Well, hopefully you don't make them by watching this video. Mistake number 1 is brushing randomly. If you're brushing your hair one way, but you're brushing your hair the other way, it's gonna be a mess. You're gonna create forks. You wanna have consistent brush strokes, and that's how you'll get perfect 360 waves. Mistake number 2 is not wearing your durag. If you're not wearing a durag, that's a huge mistake. It's so easy to wear, it's so comfortable. I can't even sleep without wearing my durag right now. I don't feel comfortable without it. Save your progress by wearing your durag. Mistake number 3 is using way too much product. You don't need that much. It's gonna clog your hair up. It may be harder for your hair to brush because there's so much product in your hair. Just use a little bit and don't expect products to give you waves. It just helps you get 360 waves. Number 4 is a super important one, and that's cutting your hair too short. If you cut your hair below your curl length, you will not have 360 waves. 360 waves are laid down curls, which means your hair has to be curly. You brush it to lay it down, and then you wear the durag to compress it and save everything. So don't cut your hair too low. Number 5 is switching your routine every week. If you're brushing your top straight down, and then the next week you're trying to do an angle, your hair is gonna be confused, your pattern is gonna be confused. You need to set your pattern, stick with it, and you'll start to see the waves develop. Number 6, and now we're getting into elite categories, is ignoring your crown. If I were to start my wave journey over today, I would focus on my crown. I would just get the waves in my crown perfect, and then brush all the way down from the crown, because it's harder to get waves all around your head and then try and focus on your crown, because now you're getting waves in your crown, but your waves are already going down one way here, but technically to connect to your crown, they need to go down this way. So I would start from my crown and really develop that on my journey. And then I guess the final mistake is expecting it to happen overnight. You can get waves overnight, but they're not gonna be elite. It takes time, it takes consistency. It's like the gym. You may not see big progress every day, but if you show up time and time again, you'll start to see development, and then soon you'll have elite 360 waves. So let's go over this routine right now. The first step is you wanna get your hair cut. The second step is you wanna find your crown. After you find your crown, the third step is to figure out your brushing angle. The fourth step is once you see your hair being dry, add a light moisturizer. The fifth step, brush in the product, maybe about 10-15 minutes. The sixth step, after you're done brushing, wear your durag. The seventh step, take off your durag, and then you're spinning. It's that simple. If you're starting out your journey and you don't know what products to use, I put together the beginner wave kit, which has a medium brush, a soft brush, 2 durags, and wave oil. So it's pretty much everything you need. And sooner or later, if you put those brushes to work, you're gonna start to see progress. I'll have the link in the description. And I guess my final piece of advice is it takes time. I've been waving for 20 years. I'm still learning new things, and it's a continuous journey. It takes a lot of effort, but when I look in the mirror and I see that my waves are on spin, makes me feel happy. So good luck on your journey. If you guys have any questions, send me a message, post in the comments down below. Make sure you guys press the like button, subscribe, turn on notifications, and I hope to see you guys waving very soon. Peace.